This is Daniel Gobi Freeland for Sportskeeda MMA, and joining me today is Cody Stamann, fresh off that knockout victory over Eddie Wineland at UFC in Austin. So, Cody, first of all, thanks for joining me, man.
Of course.
Awesome. So let's talk about that win, because it looked like, to me, at least in that fight, it looked like you were going out trying to prove something with your hands. And actually on the broadcast, DC and some of the people had even mentioned that you were out there trying to remind people that you're a Golden Gloves champion. Was that the intention? Did you want to go out there with the intention of showing those hands?
Yeah. When I talked to DC, he was like, path of least resistance. You go out there, you take him down, beat him up on the ground. And I was like, DC, I'm not going to shoot in this fight. And he was like, come on, man. And I'm like, I'm dead serious. I will not shoot in this fight. I'm not going to shoot, not one time. I promise. I don't even know if I'm going to kick. I'm like, I'm throwing hands. That's it. And he was like, okay, dude. he was like dumbfounded. He didn't even know what to say. And I meant it. I was going out there and I was just going to chuck him and we're going to see what happened.
Well, obviously we love it and we love the result as well, but can you tell us a little bit about what led to that decision? What made you feel like you had to go out and put out a performance that reminded people that you can throw down?
Yeah, I go back and kind of studied my past maybe 5 fights in the UFC, and I'm like, man, I'm not throwing my hands anymore. You know what I mean? And everything's better when I'm boxing more. Everything, my whole MMA game, my takedowns, my setups are better. But when I'm trying to play this cute outside game, and I'm trying to fight like a tall guy, and then I'm kicking from the outside, and then I'm trying to wrestle, and it just doesn't translate well. And I'm like, my boxing is probably the best attribute I have in MMA. It's probably I have more accolades in boxing than I ever did in wrestling. And I come out and wrestle, and I'm like, people don't want to watch you wrestle. You know what I mean? I hate wrestling. I don't actually like doing it. I enjoy boxing. And I'm like, I just need to go out there and just let it fly. I need to stop fighting with all these expectations and all this pressure. And I just need to go out there and get in a fist fight, the way I did when I first started MMA, and I was absolutely terrified when the cage doors closed. I need to fight like that again. And I did Saturday night.
Wow. And the results speak for themselves, but I'm curious, was there something that led to it? I mean, you said in there seeing some of your old fights kind of led you to reminding you that this is a thing you could do, but it's not like you were in the worst losing streak of your career, or you were doing really terribly, or you looked unlike yourself. What led you to say, I need to make this change? I need to do this thing.
I think a lot of it is maybe a little bit popularity too. I feel that, being labeled as a wrestler automatically, you kind of get this, oh, that guy's boring, he's going to just take people down and, hold them down. And that is the path of least resistance. And I have made a lot of money doing that. But I want to be a fan favorite. You know what I mean? I want to be somebody that people really want to watch fight. And I can't do that if I'm grinding out 15-minute, wrestling matches. I can't do that if I'm being that guy. And really, when I go into fights with the intention of, winning the wrestling exchanges, my last couple of fights haven't panned out the way I wanted them to. And I'm like, we need to change. I need to change something. You know what I mean? I think having the confidence in my hands again will change the way my career was headed. And I think, to really compete at the highest level at Bantamweight, you need to be everything. You can't be a wrestler. You can't be a striker. You need to be everything. And, and that all starts on the feet, fights start on the feet. So I needed to buckle down and get my stand up right again.
I love it. And you mentioned having made a lot of money as a wrestler. You made a little bit more money than planned on Saturday being a boxer, because you get the big $50K bonus. But I got to ask you, you get that knockout early in the night. It's spectacular. Everybody's, penciling it in for a bonus. But then the fight's got more knockouts than it.
And then you watch 9 knockouts in a row. I was thinking that I'm in the VIP thing after the fight, hanging out with people, and I'm watching this happen, and it's knockout after knockout after knockout. And I'm there with my manager, Jason House, and I'm sitting there, and I was like, there goes my bonus. And then I look at him again, like after another knockout, and I was like, there it goes again. And he goes, I don't know. He's like, dude, this might be one of those crazy nights where they just like, everyone gets a bonus. And I'm like, maybe. And then he called me 2 hours later and he's like, dude, you got the bonus. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, they gave like 9 bonuses out. And I'm like, wow. So, I mean, that was like one of the most insane fight cards I've ever seen. And to be a part of it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and obviously it being a live card and being so successful was probably what led to some of those bonuses going out and there being so many bonuses. Do you have any plans for the 50K? Is there something you're doing with it, or is this just to score it away for a late rainy day?
I already spent it. Actually, you know, like right before the fight, I went up in, I was looking at a cabin in Utah, and with closing costs and like the down payment and everything it's almost 50. It's a little over 50. And I was already thinking in my head, like, you know, like I could just get a bonus and like that'll just pay for this. You know what I mean? It's going to be an Airbnb rental property for me. So like I already had this plan in my head, like, okay, I'm gonna knock him out. I'm gonna get the bonus, and then I'm gonna take that money and I'm gonna put a down payment on this rental property. And it's crazy that it worked out the way I kind of planned it in my head, but sometimes life works that way.
Well, that's awesome to hear. And it's always good to hear that you're doing something for yourself as well. Now, you know, we're talking about all those knockouts in the card. I obviously got to mention the one that happens in the same division as you. Adrian Yanez goes out there and picks up a pretty big knockout over the course of that night. He's now ranked number 15th in that division. I'm curious what you thought about the way that he looks as a boxer and whether or not you see yourself on a collision course with a young guy like him.
Yeah, I think him and I are on a collision course. We're going to end up fighting eventually. Who knows if it's next or 2-3 fights down the road, but I mean, he's looked really good. I like the way he fights. You know, I like his boxing. I like the kid. I like the way he fights. I think it could be a great fight for me. I mean, if they offer me that fight, I wouldn't say no. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if he's next. I mean, I meant what I said after the fight. Like anyone, it doesn't matter. You know, top to bottom, I'll fight anybody, and I meant that. You know, so if he's the next name out of the hat, let's go.
And now, obviously, you said anywhere top to bottom of the division is where you feel like you could fight, or you feel like you would take a fight with anybody in that spot. But ideally, what are you thinking about where the UFC should offer you next? Do you feel like that fringe of the top 15 is within your grasp? Do you feel like you got to go beat up another, you know, wily veteran like Eddie Wineland? What is sort of your thoughts about where you think you should fall?
Oh, I would love to go fight another big name veteran like Wineland. I mean, that would be ideal. That would be the perfect setup for me. You know what I mean? Get a nice win streak, get a couple bonuses, get everything laid out to make a run to the top. You know what I mean? And then just selectively start chopping away at it. Because when I got in the UFC, I was just telling someone this, like I was in the UFC for 6 months and I was ranked number 7 in the world. And that was just too fast. You know what I mean? Like I went from fighting guys on the regional show at one level to fighting the best guys in the world. And I just didn't have time to, like, you know what I mean? Like to grow as an athlete. I didn't have the time I needed. And because once that number's next to your name, it's like someone just put a bullseye right on your forehead, you know, and everybody wants to fight you. And, you know, I was the new guy and I didn't have any clout. No one knew who I was. I kind of came out of nowhere, you know, so I was getting thrown in there. I was, you know what I mean? Every fight was a dinger. You know, I fought the champ, I fought Marab, I fought, you know, Nurmagomedov. Like I fought a lot of really tough guys in this division. In the 12 fights I've had in the UFC, you know, most of them have been against ranked opponents or guys that are undefeated, guys on 5-fight win streaks. You know, I haven't had the same glamour party that a lot of other guys have had. And I feel like to build my name, to build my brand, I need a big win streak. I need to do 5 straight. I need to do 6 straight. And, you know, do I care who it is, who it's against? I don't, you know, I just want to rack them. I just want to rack them up and build myself the way I know I have to, you know, and it's just with every fight, there's just a little bit more confidence when you get in the cage, you know what I mean? And I need that. I need that feeling. I need that feeling of, you know, that I'm the best in the world and that I can fight anyone. And, you know, getting the right fights is what I need at this point in my career.
Well, and like you said, this fight should do a lot for it, not just because of the style that you won in, but also the fact that, you mentioned Eddie Wineland is a legend of the sport, a former WEC champion and, a guy who was kind of almost a pioneer of the division before the UFC even had it. I also noticed he laid down the gloves after it was all said and done. That was his last fight.
Yeah.
What are sort of your thoughts on the fact that, obviously he doesn't get his time on the broadcast to announce that, but afterwards hearing that was his last fight, what was that like for you?
It was sad, honestly, like after the fight, seeing him, and I don't think he was completely with it when I was hugging him, telling him that he's a vet, and I was honored to fight him. But it was sad, you know what I mean? Because that's a reality in all of our careers, is that, for Eddie Wineland, he's a guy that competed at the highest level for a crazy long time. That's not an easy thing to do. And this sport is so unforgiving, you know what I mean? Like, you can be on top of the world and then you can go out the way he did. And it's sad to see, I didn't feel good about that part of it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't feel good. I know that he sacrificed a huge chunk of his life to be as successful as he was in MMA, and it's to see him go out like that is, it's not something that I'm taking pride in. I'm not like, good, I got Eddie Wineland out of there. Like, that's not something that I take pride in. Like, I wish him nothing but the best. I meant what I said. Like, I really hope that, that his life moving forward is great. And I hope that, MMA is a good memory for him. And I hope that, he set himself up for the rest of his life.
Well, that's certainly an honorable approach to that. Now, I'm curious too, because I usually like to ask fighters while they're on their way up here, and you are definitely nipping at the heels of that top 15. There's obviously a bantamweight title fight coming up in your division right now. Aljamain Sterling, a guy who you fought, fighting TJ Dillashaw. Can you give us a quick take in that one? Who do you think takes that one?
I'm rooting for Aljo in this fight. I'm definitely rooting for Aljo. I hope he gets it done. TJ is a tough dude. TJ's getting a little older though, and with TJ, it's like, I had so much respect for him, you know what I mean, as an athlete, and like what he did and everything he did. And then everything came out about the, the EPO, and then other rumors start circulating. Like, this isn't the first time, just the first time he got caught. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a guy that goes out and drinks and drives all the time. You know what I mean? Like, he finally gets pulled over and gets a DUI. It's like, well, is that the first time you went out and got behind the wheel drunk? Probably not. So just knowing that TJ has been essentially cheating his entire career, and knowing that from good sources, I don't even like seeing him. I don't even like seeing him in the division. I don't even like that he's competing with us. Just knowing that, like, this dude literally cheated his way to the top, and the rest of us, are trying to do shit the right way. I've been tested almost 40 times by USADA, and it sucks. And I really hope that Sterling smashes him. I mean, but TJ is good. TJ is good. And that's all I'm going to say.
I respect the take. Now, obviously you're coming off this big win. You didn't take much damage. I know you said you're just about ready to gear back up and get in there whenever you can. Do you have an ideal date of when we might see Cody Stamann in the cage again?
I like September. September sounds good. Just to, not have to like go right back into a training camp. I don't want to get fat. I don't want to get out of shape. I'll stay in shape. I worked out this morning. I'm already kind of like, I'm so ADHD. I don't really know what to do with myself. So like, I'm just like, oh, I'm going to work out. Woke up at 5 a.m, worked out. So, I mean, I'll be ready. I'll be ready when the call comes. I'll be in shape. I'm not going to let myself get to 180 pounds or anything crazy. It's pretty easy to do though. So yeah, I mean, if something sexy comes up before that, you know what I mean, or someone I got to jump in at 145 pounds, like I'll do it. I'll be ready all summer.
Well, we're looking forward to it, and we're looking forward to seeing those hands again. Once again, fans, this has been Cody Stamann, fresh off that knockout victory over Eddie Wineland at UFC Austin. Cody, thanks again for the time, man. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.